This is the Classic Auto Mall Show. Broadcast from the studios inside the Classic Auto Mall in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Just 1 hour west of Philadelphia at Pennsylvania Turnpike exit 298. Featuring nearly 1,000 classic, vintage, and barn-find vehicles for sale under one climate-controlled roof. Now, here's your host, Classic Auto Mall president and the man with all the toys, Stuart Howden.
And here we are, show number 234 from the Classic Auto Mall studio here in lovely Morgantown, Pennsylvania, which actually the weather's nice. You know, I always jokingly say that the weather's not nice, and I'm just...
We're having a fake spring.
Yeah, for the moment.
The flowers are coming.
Tease.
The flowers are coming up.
They are.
And then it's going to snow tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
stupid flowers.
Stupid flower. Don't they know better? Oh, silly flowers. Anyway, Steve, this week can go first this week. How many cars in inventory right this moment?
I'm going to say, I forget where it was last week, but I'm going to say 9... Where were we? I'm going to say 902.
Okay, JR.
I'm going to pull a Steve 904.
882. We're down.
You both overbid.
Yeah, both overbid there. So we're down a little bit. So again, we've said, bring us your tired, your hungry, your poor, your consignments, please.
Yes.
In the meantime, let's get to our guest. Joining us via Zoom, Rupert Banner joining us. Where are you this morning? Are you in Florida or New York or where?
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder where I am, but no. Today I'm back from Florida, back from Paris, and sitting at home actually in the home office.
Are there many times that you get to sit at home much anymore? I know you're on the road all the time. It seems like.
No, there are moments. It sort of peaks and troughs within the year, and I always want to see what we're offering, so we're always kind of on the road. You know, that as you well know, that the spread of value is all in condition, and if you don't see them, you just don't know. So
yeah, absolutely.
You have to get out there.
Yeah, it's hard to tell a guy what his car's worth if you haven't laid your hands and eyes on it in person. I mean, I know that's kind of counterintuitive to us, the way we sell cars online and, through online platforms. But, having at least yourself or at least somebody put their hands on it and look at it in person makes all the difference in the world.
100%. And you also get a sort of sixth sense of whether something's going to work or not. So I always like to see them.
Do you know, when you look at a car, can you tell pretty quickly what it's worth within, I mean, you've done this you've been a car specialist and auctioneer with Bonhams, Christie's, Sotheby's, now Gooding Christie's. You got to just have a good innate sense of what value is on a car.
Well, you do, but there's market cycles. I mean, I come back from Amelia, and I begin to wonder if I know anything at all this year. So
it's kind of funny like that, right?
Yeah. Well, but that's the great thing about a market, and it's a great thing about auctions as well. Auctions, they can the market can reprice itself right in front of you.
Yeah.
So I think your best instincts are to have a gut instinct on a car, feel where you think it should be, and then let the process can do the rest.
Sure. I think that there are lots of people who do this for a living, whether it's in the auction business or the retail side of it like us or various other ways. And I think all of us, because we've done it for so long, you do kind of get a gut feeling of where it should be priced, not necessarily where it will end up. I always think it's funny that these, trying to predict these prices on these different auction houses and how people predict it when two guys just go at it and say, I'm not giving up, and the other guy says he's not giving up.
Well, 100%. And the auction from time to time, the auction is really about that. It's about a one-on-one situation, and both of them recognizing that and wanting and just having to own that particular car.
What determines value for you guys? Well, the ones we struggle with are the ones that are the outliers, the one of, like you said, the one of one, that are just so oddball that there's none in the world. What is it, a gut feeling to know what a price point is on something like that, or is it experience based in very similar cars, or how do you factor that in?
I think your points are exactly right. I mean, it's all that, and then it's actually just knowing your own client base and knowing the people that you know, and saying, I'm pretty sure that Joe Schmo's just going to love that car.
Right.
That's going to be for him, and maybe the seller wants a little bit more than you thought it was, or and so you take an instinct and you take a gamble on some of the stuff, and these days it can be both ways. I mean, it depends. There's rare within something that isn't rare, like a particular example that's low mileage or a special color or something. And then there's really rare, where the car was so obscure and they only built one, and your only precedent for it is when the guy bought it. And then you've got to sit there and say, well, look, is that the same audience as it was once?
Sure.
When the guy bought it? So it's a balance.
Well, and you educate your buyers as well, too. I mean, you let them know why that you particularly think this particular car is more valuable than maybe what they were thinking. And your knowledge base helps them make a determination what they were planning on spending, too, right?
100%. I mean, we just had a 1750, a six-cylinder 1750 Alpha from 1932 in a sale, and I could, hand on heart, although the price is not where it once was, I said to a number of people, this car's always been the most valuable one amongst its breed. So whatever the price today is, it will be ahead of all the others. And you're probably getting a deal today compared with where it was, but it's still the best one. Sure,
yeah. And buying the best is always, as our friend Bruce Meyer says, buy the best and you only cry once. So, which I love that.
It's pretty true.
It's true. But I mean, if you buy a car that checks all the right boxes, I mean, I know it matters what you pay, but does it, you get too finite on, I don't want to pay more than, I'm not going to pay more than $1.2 million and you have to pay $1.3 million. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like that really matters as much, especially in the long term, when you look at the way the values go up on these cars that have, ironclad provenance.
Totally. I mean, I think if you're stepping up and buying the best, you rarely regret it. And even if all markets take a huge downturn, you're still at the peak of that, and you'd be surprised the people that come out of the woodwork for the best when it's offered in any market. So it's kind of the best, buy the best that you can afford. Within your budget.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a good advice for anybody. Is just buy what you can afford, and also leave a little extra for things you might want to do or need to do with it as well too. Sometimes guys forget that, and guy says, "I spent every penny I got on this car." Well, I hope you don't want to change the wheels, or there's always something that somebody wants to do different to a car, but. The market is so strong right now, and we keep thinking the bottom's going to fall out, and all this, and 1989 is coming back, and it doesn't seem to be happening. I mean, yes, things have corrected a little bit, but my goodness, you watch what happened at Amelia Island and some of these other events lately. I wouldn't venture to guess that it seems like there's any downturn at all.
I don't think there's a downturn. I think you've got to look at a few of the cars and say, well, look, that really was a one-on-one opportunity.
Sure.
And that probably won't present itself for a little while. So there are reasons why people chase them. It doesn't. It will probably make the tide rise a little. It won't necessarily mean that they're all up there.
Right.
But you'll see a bit of that, and then you see some repricing as well.
Right.
On both ends.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, we all kick ourselves when we see prices of a certain thing that was $1 million 2 years ago, and it's $5 million today. And you think, could I have seen that? Or, maybe I don't have the money to do it, so it doesn't really matter. But, there are opportunities that people hit home runs, and especially it seems like in the later model Ferraris and Porsche world.
Definitely. I mean, I actually, the last one of these talks that I did was about 3 weeks ago, and I was being quizzed very heavily about what the Carrera GT in our sale would make down in Amelia. And they were, the photo of the car was on the screen and the estimate, and almost every single person in the audience was, your estimate is ridiculous, and
right.
It's 1.5 to 1.8. That's so crazy. And I said, well, we priced that car in October.
Right.
I didn't price it. I didn't price it 10 years ago. I didn't. We looked at last summer's sales. We said, this is an estate. We should be fair with the pricing, and let's not just if it's a 1.8 car, let's call it 1.5.
Yeah.
And of course it romped away, but it genuinely was last October's pricing.
Yeah, I mean, and that you used to see, you say that tongue in cheek, but I mean, it's so true anymore. And that thing ended up with after fees like $3.1 million or something for that, which was a big number.
Yeah.
And those were a little bit unloved in the initial, right? I mean, were they a little bit, I don't remember if they were unloved, or was something about the Carrera GTs that maybe they were hard to drive, or something that at first kind of held them back, it seemed like. And then all of a sudden, no different than the Ford GT, they just went crazy.
They've gained, they did, as most new cars were doing, they would sort of bottom out a little bit. But there was a time when there were plenty for sale, and they were off list, and I remember that, and then I remember people buying them at that point, and then when they took a little bit of a rise getting out because they thought that they'd got their bump. So they tick a lot of boxes. They're an analog car. The brand is strong. They build enough of them so you can usually see them on the market, which helps. And they they could get away from you. The people did have a few moments in them, and for that reason, if you find a good one with low miles and that really has not had any incidents,
right.
That's why people are particularly interested in
Sure.
those.
Well, and the Ford GT was the same way. It was kind of a little bit of a handful, relatively speaking, to other cars of its same generation. There was lots of traction control and handling this and all that, and all of a sudden that Ford GT came out and was raw and crude, and the guy did a 360 in it, going up the on-ramp of the interstate and said, okay, I'm going to go back to my whatever latest model, what, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, these things... they're supply and demand.
Right.
I mean,
sure.
As the demand sort of creeps up, and those brands have definitely got stronger in the last few years. So yeah, it's good.
I think the thing that surprises me the most in the market overall is that an AC Cobra with a 427 can bring less money than a 2006 Porsche 911 oddball variant. It's funny to see cars that are bringing $1.6 million, $1.8 million that were production cars within the past 25, 30 years to just eclipse an AC Cobra, the 427 Cobra. It just always surprises me. I guess maybe I'm nostalgic about a Cobra, but I would have always thought that they would have kept climbing in value, and it seems like they don't do it as much as others.
Yeah, I think the Cobra market, there are two things that influence the Cobra market. I mean, it's all about the car for a start. I mean, it's got to be good in the registry. It's got to be pure, and we all know that there are plenty that aren't.
Right.
I think that there are one of probably the greatest challenge to them is actually that there are plenty of replicas around.
Right.
And so I think if you're driving a 911, people know you own a 911. I think if you're driving a Cobra,
yeah.
Depending where I'm driving one, the guy might say to me, "Is that a replica?" And I might answer yes, or I might answer no. It just depends where you're on, and where you are, really.
But that's true. I never thought the replicas. There's so many of them out there. Most people, when they see a real one, don't know that that's a real Cobra because they're so used to seeing a replica. And there's some really, really good ones out there. There's some of the manufacturers that manufacture these bodies do a great job of it. So it's probably hard to tell unless you really know what you're looking at.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's an element of that probably holds it back a little.
Sure. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So you've been with Gooding and Christie's now back for, a couple of years now? Is it? I don't know. Time goes so...
It sure does. About 18 months now, yeah.
God, it just seems like yesterday, right? And what an amazing company that David Gooding has built. I tell you, it's so impressive to watch that operation and how I say it's grown. It just started out good. It was like day one. It was like they were here and everybody else was going, what the heck? What an amazing legacy that he's already built with many more years to come.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he built, with the heart, he built a business that was based on integrity, a sheer love of collectible cars, and a love of the auction process. Right. And, it's been a great, it's a 22 to 23-year-old business that, set the bar very high. It reinvented things in many ways. I think that, I don't know that any of the houses would look after clients in the same way without that. I don't think that the visuals, the aesthetics, the marketing, and just how fashionable there was the element of cars brought into it. So, it's and then it stayed true to itself all the way along, and ultimately, the match with Christie's is that they're a very similar business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a good team.
I think my favorite part of it is when somebody will buy a particular car, Ferrari, for example, and David Gooding, the president and CEO of the company, will point to the guy and say, "That'll go nicely with your whatever else is in the garage." He these are his buddies. He knows these people.
100%, and he knows that when he says it's going to a good home, he means it. And it's for all of us, it's nice to be in the middle of a transaction where you know that you've found the best home for it. The seller's got the best price. That's a win all around.
Yeah, I love those win-wins. And, we were talking about valuation a little while ago. What are your thoughts on the pre-war V12s and V16s, the Cadillacs and the Packards and Duesenberg? Or not Duesenberg, but, these type of cars. Are they going to wane, or are they going to always remain collectible?
I think for the majority of it's really about application. It's what you can do with them.
Right.
And it's, I think that there are obviously not as many people coming into the market that the first thing they say is, I need a V16 Cadillac,
right.
as perhaps there were once. But as long as there are things for you to do with them, I've always found that people, one of my phrases I'm known for saying is that there's a 70-year-old born every minute.
Right.
And for some reason, from years of doing Scottsdale sales and things, I noticed that people would arrive in Scottsdale who we'd never seen before, who literally arrived at a certain age, and that was the sort of things that they migrated towards. So, as long as they keep being 70-year-olds born, as long as it's usability.
Right.
I think the brand is important. If they're brands that people can relate to, like, the Cadillac brand is strong.
Right.
So, there will always be Cadillacs around. You can relate to that. A more obscure brand, perhaps not.
Right.
The other thing with the V16, it's got great physical presence.
Right.
It looks like a Cadillac.
Right.
It takes physical road presence. It has good performance for its day. So I think things that you could still use and tool around in and take to shows and that are appreciated for those reasons. They may not sort of get the column inches these days, but as long as there are things that you can do with them, I think they'll be a follow.
Sure. And same with the brass cars. And maybe that, a lot of it, I mean, not all of it, but a lot of it falls back to London to Brighton. Everybody wants to do that. That's on everybody's bucket list. And you got to have a 1904 or older car to do that. And, so that keeps the rest of the hobby, I think, going well in that segment. And then the newer brass cars, I say newer, the 16 through the 20s, they seem to be still doing well too. And I'm always surprised at that. I always keep thinking that the market's going to turn on me when I'm least expecting it.
Yeah, I think that one strong component of the whole hobby is actual interest in engineering. And
Right.
once you get inside the hobby and you start sort of looking at the heritage and where inventions came from and the sort of genus of the car, it gets more and more fascinating. And I find when I'm a London to Brightoner for a very, I've done at least 30 of them in my lifetime. So I've been surrounded by that, and since the late 80s,
Right.
and I've watched that interest grow, and every time we find someone new and we say, well, you should come and do that, buy a car, come along. They come along and they're like, this is great. They go home, they tell their friends, and then
Right.
their friends want one.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of, as with any event, if they're sort of self-marketing themselves as
Sure.
long as you can get people out there using them and enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real test of a lot of things. It's a test of power, and it's a test of, bearing the elements when it could be a little bit colder or rainy. Never like that over there, is it? Right?
Yeah, I've had some wet ones, some sunny ones. I've also, from time to time, I've taken people who've never been out on these things, and we go flying up the road, and they're like, make it stop. And they go, well, stopping's not its forte, really. I'm like, please slow down, because you're quite high up, and you've got nothing. Suddenly they realize that, speed is all relative.
Yeah, we watched the Ragtime Racers, Corky Coker and those guys, and they're racing those cars. They're sitting on barrels. There's no protection.
Yeah. No, they're brave. And they were in the day, these guys who bounced around Brooklands or whatever, they really were brave.
You watch those guys coming through the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, and I don't know how they stayed in the seat. You just figured that one guy was just going to go flying off the cars.
There's a few that did.
Yeah, I think that they did, and we hope they were all okay, and that's wonderful. So, as we mentioned, you just finished up Amelia. Some remarkable results there, and even on not necessarily the highest end of the highest end. I mean, the Ferrari Dino in signal orange, which I don't think I'd ever seen one. I guess it was the only one ever delivered in signal orange.
It's a Porsche color, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, the guy had his car painted that orange, and it's a beautiful car regardless. But,
right.
It does look good, and it was like a magnet, that car.
Yeah, and
really,
1.3 million for that thing was that a world record, or?
It is the world record.
Golly, it's just amazing. And then, of course, what's interesting? I love the fact that at a Gooding auction, there's always a few American either Corvettes or Impalas or things like that are thrown in. But that 63 split window coupe that brought $257,000 was just wow. That must have been a spectacular car.
It's a beautiful car, and actually a car I had a relationship with. I sold it to my friend Wayne Carini. Found the car about 12, 13 years ago.
Right.
We took it to a Greenwich sale, and the current owner, or the previous owner, bought it then. He bought it because he wanted to restore one. He spent a number of years restoring it, and It really was very, very nice.
Right.
And there's no substitute these days for sort of instant gratification.
Exactly.
Straight out of the box.
Well,
And they're a landmark car. When they're practical or not, but they look great.
Yeah, and that Sebring silver is a beautiful color. And people will tell you that back in 1963, when they tore the paper off the windows of the showrooms and people saw a 63 Corvette, it was like a spaceship. It was like the coolest thing people had ever seen at the time.
I'm sure. Absolutely.
And the other thing that's always interesting to me, especially in this upper end world, is the late 40s, early 50s Ferraris that don't always seem to get quite as much love as you would expect to see as a 60s or a 57 Testarossa or, a Lusso or some of these other things, but they still bring pretty darn good money. I mean, the 51 212 Export, $3.4 million. Was that a surprising number, or was that about in line where you all thought it would be?
It's one of those cars where the price was just. I think probably man for man on our team, it was a car that we all loved. It, we priced it in today's market. I mean, we were very, very conservative at $2 million as a low estimate on the car.
Right.
But it just had such great ingredients. The Rossellini history is fantastic. The condition was out of this world. I mean, it just you do not find cars of that era that are completely fresh to market in just totally unspoiled condition. The interior was original. The details on the car, and it had lots of. Its audience actually was broader than you imagine, because there were plenty of people, I think, who would like to leave it as it is, and at the same time, if you restore it, I think you will do very, very well at concours, because it will be an absolute jewel, that car, either sensitively restored or however it's done. It really is a little jewel, and it was a magnet. And with a one-of-one car, we had with 2 or 3 different applications potentially, we had a broader audience, and they all chased it, and the guy who loved it most took it home. So
How gratifying is it though for a guy to be thinking he's going to get $2 million, and you guys get to write him a check for $3.5 million? That's got to be a good feeling on your part, and a good feeling on his part as well too.
Yeah, I've always been a huge believer in the process, and that's testament to the process. If you got the right thing, we top quality cars. We really we work very, very hard to make sure that we delivered for our seller, and it's a nice experience. It's a great start.
Kind of nice to underpromise and overdeliver sometimes too, right? It always makes you feel a little better.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely been an adjustment in the pricing of those cars. So it's nice to do it the right way around. I think for the last few years, it's probably been you hope that you could get these sort of numbers for one of them, and you were stopping a bit short. So to sort of start to be able to be in a market situation where you can say, look, this is probably the right number to run with this car, and then over deliver is great.
And of course, that the one that surprised me maybe the most was the '92 Mercedes-Benz 500e. That thing was crazy, $357,000. I was just floored, and I know that they're amazing cars. I mean, they check a lot of the right boxes. There's no question about it. And especially this one with low miles. It was collaboration with Porsche, nice 320 plus horsepower V8. A lot of good things going for it.
The car was absolutely beautiful, and everything worked. I had a guy who couldn't be there, and he said to me, just check everything with you. And I sat in there, and there's so many buttons in that car, and I was like, does this work? This works. This works. So I turned the air on, the air blew. I turned the seat warmer. It worked. I turned the headrest thing. It was actually a really great example. And then I think sometimes you'll say, well, that was just 2 people. They had a war and blah 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 blah. The reality on a car like that, and with some of the more modern cars that we offered on that day, as with the Carrera GT, is that the depth of bidding was huge. There's a list of people that was 8 or 10 long, comfortably into the 200s on that car, and in fact actually over 3. And a couple of guys took it the last way, but it just shows that to my point of repricing, some stuff is literally repricing in front of you.
Sure. Well, and under $500,000 and over $500,000 are almost 2 completely different worlds. I mean, there's guys who can spend under $500,000, and it's in their comfort zone. Anything above 500, and they start to get a little, it takes a different level of income, right?
Stuart, I think we all have our pain threshold. It doesn't matter if it's a tequila or a beer or whatever it is. We all, or a house or a car. We all have our pain threshold, and that's
well, and we also have our significant other's pain threshold as well too. So we have to be careful with that too. We get that all the time where the guy comes and puts a deposit on a car here, and he comes back the next day and he goes, "I'm not going to be able to buy that car." And I said, "Why not? I'm just curious. I'm not mad. I just want to know why." He goes, "Well, first of all, my wife said we have 2 kids in college, we have no space in the garage, and we don't have any money." So so I get that. So I always ask the question to all my buddies is that, if you're at Walmart looking for a rake, do you buy the $5 rake, the $10 rake, or the $15 rake? And I always buy the $15 rake because I think it's going to be the best one out there, and it never is. I guess the $10 rake is the right answer.
Yeah, I think this. You look carefully. It is interesting though when you see something like that Mercedes, and you look at those cars and you look at the quality of the product, and then,
oh my God,
and it seems great, and it actually seems great. It seems great compared to a modern car today.
Sure.
And then you put it in the context of what it was competing with in that day, and it was so far ahead of it.
Sure,
so, you really were paying for quality then, and the quality remains. Well,
and last but not least, on your Amelia Island stuff was the Subaru Impreza 22B STI. Holy macar! That was great. One of 400 built for Japan. It was a 40th anniversary, or 4th anniversary edition, or 40th anniversary. Flat 4, 276 horsepower, 8,200 kilometers, $329,000. That's got to be a world record.
Yeah, well, the JDM is it's been moving forward, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah,
ever since they could come into the country, you're getting that sort of uptick, and we all have we all have the sort of poster cars, and to certain people that's exactly what that was.
Sure,
I guess we all wanted to be in a 4-wheel drift going around a hairpin and the lakes in the UK or whatever it was. They resonate. And that's in the grand scheme. Maybe it isn't such a whole lot of money. It seems to us, but over time that may look like a bargain.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I'm a big fan of those JDM cars. I'm a big fan of 90s. I love an 850 CSI BMW with 3 pedals. I love the 928 GTS. Will we see more of those at Gooding? Do you think those type of cars, or is it still going to be a little limited market for you guys?
You will always see in a Gooding sale the best of the best.
Right.
We will definitely follow the market conditions and what are appealing to people, as long as we can get our hands on quality. That's the most important thing. You're not going to see a sort of ratty one that nobody knows the history of, but you'll see an investment grade one in a sale of ours.
Yeah, I think that there's so many segments in the market that we all love, and I'm not in any one particular category of any car. I like a lot of different cars for a lot of different reasons. I know that when we were in Monterey this year, the cars that the 560 SEC comes to mind. That was that wide body 6-liter, almost $600,000 for that car, and that was an amazing car when it was new, and it's still an amazing car.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're and that has just it's a sector of the market that really has come into its own in the last few years.
Yeah.
And, we can see why.
I think my favorite car though at Monterey this year was the Volvo 1800, that cyan. That thing was crazy. We'll talk about engineering and effort.
It's great, and sometimes you see these things on videos and you or whatever, but there's no substitute for actually looking at the thing in the flesh. And it really was very interesting. And
sure,
it's just beautifully done. And sure enough, there were the people, although there weren't really any precedents for that.
Right,
there it goes. It did fantastically well.
And so you guys also hold an auction at Retromobile in Paris, right? And then
absolutely, we've just done that. Yeah,
and then here comes another one in New York. What's going to be? Is this going to be Retromobile West, or what? How is this going to be? Is it going to be the same type of event, or?
Very much so. I mean, this Retromobile itself celebrated the 50th year of doing their event. I think they've looked at how they would branch out with that in over a number of years, and they've decided to come to New York City and do that actually in in a similar time of year. I mean, the great thing about going to Retromobile in Paris is there's not a lot of competing events at that time of year. And it's a great gathering for people. And I think towards the end of the year and the draw of New York City, I think will be great. It's the same organizers. It's not somebody who just borrowed the brand and is hoping that they can do the same thing. I mean, it's got all the genes inside that, and the following is already great. A lot of people who have traditionally supported the European version are supporting this here. And it's really a special. It has always been a special event with its own character. So it's very exciting, and we're delighted that we were able to be part of that, and to it's something that works for both sides really. They wanted an auction partner, and as we grow with Christie's, we also wanted to do some more things.
Sure.
It was just a nice fit.
I think a lot of people don't realize that just because there's a successful automobile event of any type doesn't mean that an auction is going to go hand in hand with it. And Retromobile has proven that it does work in that particular instance. But there's other times that we've seen auctions try to latch on to another event and unlimited success. And so it's, somewhat of a crapshoot, I guess, to figure out what's next. I mean, I'm sure you guys are looking at doing more auctions, or are you? Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
We look at opportunities all the time.
Sure.
The reason we're able to make this choice and go with this is that it was a good match.
Right.
Retromobile is, there are events and there are events, and there are some events where people are just hugely distracted and there's no time for anything else to sort of compete for their attention. The great thing about Retromobile is it's always really been about a market and coming together and a sort of sociable event. And so I think that's a good match. There are other things where if you turn up and you put your tent up, then people will miss you because they're already busy. They're looking at the race meeting or their car breaks or whatever it is. There's just too much going on for them to actually pay attention. And then it proves not to be a good draw for either side.
Yeah, and I imagine it's a kind of a double-edged sword on having competitors doing an auction the same weekend you are. I mean, you can do Scottsdale, or you can do Monterey, you can do Amelia with different events going on. But I imagine that the rising tide lifts all ships, right? I think it's probably good for everybody when there's multiple auction houses holding sales on the same weekend.
I think so. I mean, I think if you take it into your example is to look at the art market or something like that.
Sure.
The big houses, with Christie's included, of course, they don't go and have a pop-up sale in the middle of nowhere when nobody else is doing this. Right. They do this, they all do them at the same time, and when they know that the industry is, and it can be a market sale, and a market sale is very important because you need the people who are players in that market to be present in it to decide what things are worth. And that's super important, I think.
And to have, it's great to have the online and the telephone element of it, but really you got to have people in the audience as well, too, I think, in order to make it a complete auction.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget the people who are online, or indeed the people who are on the end of the telephone. That doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't seen the car. Right. It's just that they on that particular given day, they're not able to actually participate. Or indeed, that's how they choose to participate. Right. And that's their preferred method of doing it. But it's each to their own. Some would like to be removed from the process. It's and we all know that we can get carried away in a sale, and I guess if you can stagger it slightly back, perhaps that's your own way of restraining yourself, or perhaps I don't know. Yeah. It's there are lots of reasons, but there are lots of ways to do it now, and it's growth, in the end.
Sure. Well, and a lot of guys come out on the preview day, see the car that they want to see, and then get on their jet and they go home, and then they can bid at home, and it's like they're still there, but they're not. They're taking care of business or whatever they're doing. So,
well, I mean, if I had a buck for every time somebody told me, look, if I can't, it's actually my daughter's wedding, or it's that, and then I'm gonna step out of the ceremony and I'm gonna bid on your car, but I really can't be there this time.
Right.
I'd be doing there'd be quite a pile of dollar bills.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Well, if everybody that came into our building could afford to buy the cars that they would buy, we wouldn't have any inventory. We'd sell out everything every day, right? So you're also heavily involved with something that's near and dear to our heart, and we're a sponsor this year of the demo days of the Simeone Museum, Foundation Automotive Museum down in Philly, which is an absolutely amazing place, isn't it?
Yeah, just great. It's I think probably one of the greatest honors was being down there one day and Fred saying, I'd really, can you be on the board with us? We'd love to have you part of this. And it helped that we were driving around the car park in a C-Type at the time, but it was, I think it's probably about 10 years now, but it really, it's just a great place. And it has Fred's motto was always the spirit of competition. And I think as we sadly move to the fourth year post Fred, I always think about the spirit of Fred, really.
Right.
We want, and demo days were the spirit of Fred. He loved to see his cars out there being used, and people to sort of understand the sounds and the smells and the sights and the shapes, and it was such a cleverly, carefully built collection,
right.
And it's not so far from you guys.
No, it really is very close.
Down the road.
Yeah. And what always surprised me is when I first went to it, I thought, why is he down in downtown Philly? And this is a terrible location. And as time has gone on, it has grown on me. It's the perfect location for that collection. It couldn't be in a better location. To put it in a glass marble Taj Mahal would be, I think, a terrible thing. I think it's perfect where it is.
Yeah, Fred, I mean, the great thing about Fred is that, to him, preservation and integrity of cars was super important, which sort of suggests that you put them in a glass box. But at the same time, by having that space there and being able to get the cars out and use them, he was also saying, these are living, breathing objects, and that's why I want to be able to do that.
We like to see that. We hate to go to these collections that are so static and they haven't been driven in 25 years, and it's just good and darn well that it's going to be a lot more work than anybody thinks, and a lot more costly to get things up and going. And to be driven on a regular basis and exercised is so important for anything mechanical, especially an automobile.
Oh, definitely. And as we all know with our collector car, if you keep using it, if you use it every weekend or whatever, the day when you really want to use it, it's probably going to work for you. Right. Or the weekend before, you find out what's actually wrong with it, and you can get it fixed in time to use it.
Yeah.
If you sort of spend 9 months banking on a day when you want to use it, and the chances are it's not going to do what you want to do.
Or the car behind it's not going to start, or whatever. Fill in the blank. Right.
That's something. There's always something. They are old cars.
We should learn this lesson. It's like when I live in Pennsylvania, people goes, that you're going to have bad winters no matter what you think. It's you live in Pennsylvania. So, and last but not least, I wanted to ask you, one of my favorite questions I get to ask everybody is, what's your daily driver?
Well, I'm going to fudge the answer a bit and say that my daily driver, as soon as the grid is off the road, is a +4 Morgan, which I use a lot, actually. I love using that. I have more mundane cars that I sort of smoke around, and
sure.
I'm certainly not being British and the car, not me.
Right.
I'm not about to go and drive it down to Philadelphia or something. But
right.
If there's a good journey within the sort of 50-mile radius, it's getting used all the time, and I love that.
And so your next auction is coming up when? When are you all? What's on the calendar next?
We'll be at Pebble Beach.
Gosh.
It's as every year since 2004, and the wheel keeps turning. So we'll be building that, and we'll be gathering things for the fall for Retromobile.
Yeah, no time to rest on your laurels of the past. Yesterday was yesterday, right?
Well, the only thing with an auction is you start from you tear up the sheet of paper and you get on and you build another one from scratch. So,
absolutely.
That's how it is.
Rupert Banner, everybody. Thanks so much, Rupert, for being on the show today. We really appreciate it. Glad we finally got to do this.
You're so welcome. It's nice to talk.
Yeah, take care. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with the Classic Auto Mall Show.
Whether you want to buy or sell a classic, collectible, or special interest vehicle, you need to visit the Classic Auto Mall website for more information. If you're looking to buy, you can easily search our inventory of more than 1,000 vehicles on the web at classicautomall.com.
And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall Show from the studios here at Morgantown.
What a production.
Yeah. We got everything going.
The guy a raise.
We got sound effects. We got all kinds of stuff. Please, yeah. My bank account number and routing number is.
That's right.
It's funny how the auction houses, they put their bank account number and their routing number in their catalogs, like right there for people to
I
see.
know.
And a guy will call up and I'll ask for his his bank account number to send him some money. Oh, I can't give you that.
Right.
It's like, well, I think that you're okay.
They're just like, send us your money.
Anyway, what a great guest, Rupert Banner, legend in the business. And when I say legend, I don't mean he's old and been around forever. He's just done a lot of cool things. He was with Bonhams, he was with Christie's, he was with Sotheby's, now back with Gooding Christie's, and a great guy and well respected and liked in the hobby.
He's so knowledgeable.
So just, I love, they're like these race car drivers, these guys who auction these high-end cars. Their Rolodex in their mind of every car that they've ever sold is there, 100%. He can tell you, the mileage and this and that about it. It's like a race car driver would tell you in 1971, I hit the apex of the corner at Sebring and it was a little dusty and my rear end got a little way and I was driving a this and I had a hot dog for lunch.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. But so anyway, what are we doing now?
You can do a new inventory. You can do where cars were sold.
How about where cars were sold?
Where did they go?
Where did they go?
Poor things.
Let me get my collective soul here. How about Mesa, Arizona? Salisbury, North Carolina. I like Salisbury steak.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it's from.
Could be. When's the last time you had Salisbury steak?
About 12, when I was 12.
Oh.
Macaroni and cheese and Salisbury steak. That was a good little Stouffer's side dish.
Yeah, the TV dinner.
Remember the TV dinner that had the brownie in the
yeah. Or the apple pie.
Oh, the apple pie was pretty good. I like the brownie, though. I was the brownie guy. I'd usually eat it first, and my mom would get mad at me. So anyway, where were we? Chester, Virginia. Palm Bay, Florida. Douglasville, Pennsylvania. Weaverville, North Carolina. Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. Phoenix, Arizona. Beerta, Netherlands. Folsom, not California, Pennsylvania. So you got you looking there. Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Rising Sun, Ohio. Hamilton Square, New Jersey. Terry Hill, Pennsylvania. Hamilton, New Jersey. Barcelona, Texas. No, Spain. Barcelona, Spain. Hinton, West Virginia, and Pendleton, New York.
Hot
So
damn.
there's
Hot damn tamales.
where we sold cars this past week. We had a good week of sales. The consignments actually picked up. Monday we had a real good day. The weather's been nice. It's been helpful, but we could use inventory, as we say all the time. I always tell people we're more in the consignment business than the sales business, because if we can be the best sales organization in the world and we don't have inventory, it really doesn't matter. So when that number starts with an 8, I get a little jittery. I get a little, whatever you call it. So.
As a car dealer that had 45 cars on the lot, what do you say? I get nervous with 800. Oh, wow.
I know. A lot of people look at me like, get over it. But, the volume begats the building and the building begats the volume. We've got to have enough cars to justify having this big building.
Well, and the selection, too. You got to have something for because there's a butt for every seat.
Well, and there's guys who literally come here and say, I don't know what I'm going to buy, but this is how much I have to spend. Point me in the right direction of what you think is a good, They're guys who are into cars, but they're not, dedicated Mustang guy, dedicated Corvette guy, dedicated Ferrari guy. They're like, I want something cool, want something that's got a nice exhaust tone to it, and I got 40 to spend. What do you got?
Yeah,
well,
maybe another 10,000 to put into it.
Yeah, exactly. And we got a lot. So new arrivals this week, the 1952 Ford F3 pickup, Carnival Red over Gray, 215 cubic inch inline 6-cylinder, stunning presentation, 3-speed manual, ready to show and haul, and fully functional.
Good looking truck.
It is a nice looking truck. And another nice looking truck that we have is the next one on our list, 1961 Studebaker Champ pickup. Patchy red over black and red. This is a stunning restoration. You want to be the only one at a car show with something, this is the one to buy.
It's sharp.
Unless you're at the Studebaker show.
Unless you're at the Studebaker show, but there still might only be one other Champ.
That's true. That is true.
My dad may have helped build that one.
Oh, yeah.
He worked at Studi.
He was a Studi man, huh? Yeah. This thing, great driver, rarely seen. Like I said, you'll be the belle of the ball if you show up at any car show. Next on the list is the 1940 Ford Deluxe convertible, dark teal metallic over gray and dark gray, 350 cubic inch 4-barrel V8 with a turbo hydromatic 350 automatic. Very well done ride. I like this Ford Deluxe. This is a nice car.
It is.
And, hot rods aren't always my top of my heap things, but there's certain ones that just catch my eye, and that one particularly
Agreed.
did. So how about the 1957 Ford Thunderbird convertible, raven black over raven black and colonial white, which is like the two Thunderbird colors.
Yes.
57,000 actual miles, 3 owners, shipper invoice included. So that means that the original paperwork shipping the car to the dealer is included.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. 312 cubic inch V8, Ford-O-Matic. Vegematic. Ford-O-Matic automatic transmission, and this one is very well preserved. Nice car. And these Thunderbirds are reasonably priced nowadays. They spiked up there pretty high. And, of course, still, if you got an F-Bird, which is a fuel-injected version, or even the E-Bird, with the dual quads, they're still pretty valuable, but the market has softened a little on these. So if you're looking for a Thunderbird, a baby bird, they call them, the 55, 6, and 7s, then now's the time.
Yeah, and really any Thunderbirds are
they're great.
Good bargains.
They're good. Like the 61 that we talked about last week that we have the convertible. That's a great car.
Even the modern ones that are coming in.
Oh, true. Absolutely. We get a lot of those. Next on the list is the 1967 Pontiac GTO convertible, or hardtop, excuse me, Starlight black over black. It's got a 428 from 69 in it.
Right.
It's blasted.
Nice retro. It's a resto mod.
Resto mod, in a sense. But I like a resto mod that's true to the mark.
To the time.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's got a 428 in it, which would have been around that time, 67, 68. And it's a Pontiac engine.
Right.
Which I don't think anybody else had a 428 beside Pontiac.
I don't think so.
I don't recall that any other of the brands of the General Motors or any other for that matter. And a 428, man. And this thing's got sinister good looks. That black is
the way to go.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yep. And it's a true GTO. So it's not, probably the original motor was trashed or blown up or whatever. Sure. So, and that happens. And that's why, the purists kind of freak out when you see this sometimes. And they don't realize that the backstory may be that the car was damaged. It was in a wreck. It was in a fire. It was in whatever. And the original motor is just not available anymore. Yeah. So what are you going to do? You're going to trash it, or are you going to put something in it and enjoy it? I say the latter.
Right.
So last but not least, the 1958 Chevrolet Impala two-door hardtop, or sport coupe, as they might call them. K coral over coral.
Beautiful.
It looks like a shade of rouge.
It's kind of a pinkish.
It's a pinkish.
It's period,
color.
correct.
Yeah, Power Glide 2-speed automatic, 348. This got the 348 in it, which was the big bad boy back then. Power brakes, 1 year only styling though. And these 1958s. You imagine the amount of money that General Motors had to spend
for real
to tool up for 1 year of a body style.
Yeah.
57 was completely different, and 59 was completely
happened a lot.
Yeah. And 58 was a 1 year only. So recouping their investment was probably. They probably didn't. They probably had to have lost money. And the 58s weren't really well loved. I guess that's why they changed it. They changed it right away.
But the fact that they can change it up so quickly just based on the market.
Yeah, they must have had the stuff in the pipeline. Yeah. There must have been some,
Yeah, I just wrote a 61 Lincoln. The headlights and the fascia is completely different from 62. They had to retool the whole thing.
And I don't think I would have known that had you not told me.
Thank you.
I always loved the grills on the 58 GMs.
Yeah.
So sharp.
Yeah, they had, especially like the Buick. That Electra that had like 160 of those little square pieces on it, or 158. There was a number that was well known, and now, of course, I don't remember.
Well, I was told, too, it was a recession year, and there was really bad winter through much of the country.
Right.
And because of the recession, there weren't a lot sold, and what was out there rusted out. So that's why 58s are rare, especially in really nice condition.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our list of new items this week, and we've got more coming in, we hope. So bring them on. We're ready.
Bring them on. We're ready.
Bring them on. We're ready anytime. When we return, we'll be joined by our friend Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
The Classic Auto Mall has more than 1,000 vehicles for consignment in our huge 8-acre climate-controlled showroom. It's a real indoor mall. If you'd like to know all the advantages of buying and selling a car through consignment, the information is available on our website, or you can talk to a classic car specialist who can answer all your questions. It's easy, safe, convenient, and it doesn't matter where you are. We sell worldwide. See our huge selection of classic and collectible vehicles at classicautomall.com.
And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall Show, Classic Auto Mall Studio, Morgantown, PA, with our good friend Keith Martin, joining us from the left coast. Good morning, Keith.
Morning. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here.
I'd like to register one complaint.
Oh, great.
Right off the bat. Just put me through.
Okay.
I despise daylight savings time.
Me too. I am done. I hope we never have to live through it again.
Like, what's the point?
I don't get it. I'm not a farmer. I'm not out in the crops. I'm not, sorry, it just doesn't work anymore. I hate getting home, leaving the office at 5 o'clock. I have no windows in my office because I don't know why. But anyway, I have no windows in my office. So I walk outside and it's pitch black and it just makes me mad.
I know. And not only that, it always gets cold.
It's cold and mad. So great. So your latest blog is Revenge of the Classic Cars. And you sold the Jaguar.
I got a really good price for it on Bring a Trailer. And I figured out that the cost of owning that car was $7,000 over 5 years and 10,000 miles.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was like free.
Yeah, it really, I mean, in our world, that is absolutely free.
But what happened is the classic car god was watching this and saying, "Oh man, Keith is so way out of kilter. We owe him."
Yeah, because that whole Mercedes was it the 250 CE or whatever you bought?
Yeah, where I had the world's best car that nobody cares
that
about.
Nobody wanted, right? And I tell you, so do you know the buyer? Is it somebody that you knew, or is it somebody?
It's not. I don't know who it is yet.
Okay, gotcha.
The Matt at 911R knows, but I told him, I was told by my guy here that they did not make a radio block-off plate for a Series 3 Jaguar.
Really?
But you know what happens when you put something like that on Bring a Trailer?
Yeah, we know exactly what happens.
So I got sent a link to it, and I told the guy as the auction was closing, I said, you know what, just one more bid and I'll buy you the blanking plate. It's $18.
Right.
It's important to have these things hinge on big deals.
It's funny about that you mentioned that. There was a gentleman who started an auction in the Midwest named Mark Trimble. And Mark started the Branson auction back in many years ago. And Mark would sell cars after he had sold the auction to Jim Cox. And he would sell cars at the auction. And every auction that Mark would be at, he would come up on the stage when the bidding got to the flat spot. And he'd come up and say, yeah, now, folks, he said, I just noticed a few minutes ago that the brakes were a little weak in the rear end. I've got two $100 bills here for, whoever the buyer is, so we'll take care of that brake issue. Sold every time, went for more money. People started bidding again. It was, it's so simple, but sometimes the simple things like that make such a huge impact.
Well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to bond between the buyer and the seller.
Right.
And you're trying to create trust over 3,000 miles.
Right. Exactly.
And so what you're looking for is really quick answers that you ask.
Yeah.
I was looking at this car the other day, and the guy said, well, it's a black car. The Carfax said it was red twice, but I'm sure it's always been black.
Yeah. And your comfort level just went.
And I said, well, if the car's always been red, then, or why always been black, why does it say red on the Carfax? He said, I don't know.
That's a good answer. That sounds like what my 5-year-old would say. I don't know how that got in there. Hey, I noticed you talked about in your blog about big Healeys, and I kind of got my eye on a big Healey, and now may be the time to buy one, right?
Well, next year is the 75th anniversary Healey tour.
Oh, that'd be a really good.
600 Healeys at Lake Tahoe.
Wow.
And my guess is, Stuart, I don't want to be a fatalist here, but my guess is the 100th anniversary won't have as many.
Right. 125th anniversary might be a few less.
Yeah. I'm trying to work on my leg and so I have a clutch leg. I had a BJ7 that I drove to the 50th anniversary, and I loved it. When you're in a string of 10 or 15 of those cars and they drop into overdrive and you're on a back road. I mean, the sound is just unbelievable.
And you got to have an overdrive. And they all, I think, I don't think they all came with overdrive, but most of them came with overdrive.
Yeah, it was, you're saying it right. Almost a non-overdrive car, just walk away.
Right. It's just because you want that extra. It's like a 4-speed Camaro 69 Z28. You need that. Where's that fifth gear? Damn it! I need.
And with the Healeys, you can get overdrive on second, third, and fourth.
Oh, right. So you've almost got do the math and the lime and the coconut and 12.
You have a meaningless extra set of gears.
Right. Because second to second and a half, and to third and a half, to fourth.
Right. So I'm looking, actually actively looking, maybe even buying a pair and driving them down with one of my staff and then coming back. We did a few years ago. I bought 3 MGBs and we drove to Lake Tahoe.
So you were cornering the market, or what was that?
I think the market is
cornered.
The movie Zulu.
Yeah.
Well, instead of Zulus across the hill, there's guys with Healeys who want me to buy them.
Wow. It's So half price, and they're great cars to drive, and they sound good, and they're sexy looking. They're the best looking.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's the 106 or the BJ8 or all. I mean, the BN1 and 2, the early cars are different, but people say, "Oh, the 106 doesn't have the right intake manifold and it's not as fast." Well, it's as fast as you need to go.
Right, exactly. And that says a lot about a car. Just because you have all this extra horsepower, I've had plenty of cars that had way more horsepower than I ever used and never needed, never really wanted. I thought I wanted it until I realized that I'm never going to go that fast.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
So I think this is I've been watching these Healeys. I'm trying to come in as a cheapskate for a 100, the unloved 106.
Right.
They were in the 30s and 40s. They're now in the high 20s, low 30s for really, really good ones.
Yeah, and a driver quality might even be less. I don't think you get in the teens, but you might get close.
The question becomes then for me is it's the distance of the shipping.
Right, exactly. That all of a sudden now factors into it. The cheaper the car, the more that number means something to you. So
that's right.
To spend $3,000 on shipping a car that you spent $15,000 for, boy, that's a tough pill to swallow. And of course, you've been getting some invoices in your mailbox lately, right? A few car related.
I'm part of the client of the month club again.
I love that the cost of the Volvo V70 that you brought for your son Bradley, it was the first check you wrote was the cheapest check you wrote.
I know. I forgot it was the down payment.
Yeah, that's right. People say, we talk about this. There's a 1995 Jag I can buy for $3,000. Okay. Do you know how much the exhaust system is?
I'm going to jump in here because I'm getting a lot of crap because I got a flat tire in my Porsche C4S, and I had to buy new tires for $1,500. And the number of people telling me what a stupid dumbass I am for buying those tires and paying that much. And I want to say to them, you weren't by the side of the road with a nail
exactly
through the wall of your tire at a car shop that says we can throw new tires on this car. Now they didn't say, "Oh, try Discount Tire and see if they'll do a better deal for you."
Yeah, and they'll FedEx it to you by the side of the road, and then you can change them yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was really when you're there with a flat tire and a nail in your tire, and you're at a tire shop. It's not the time to go bargain on it.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, anytime I am in a desperation situation or a situation where I want to get out of as quickly as possible, money at that point in time has no meaning to me. I want to pay whatever I got to pay to get out of this situation is perfectly okay with me.
That's right.
So.
If I were sitting at home with my phone and I were comparison shopping and reading the blog, and this is the best tire, but I wasn't.
Right. I love that you spent $7,000 on the Jag over a 10-year period, and in the last 30 days you spent $7,500 on the Alfa, Volvo, and the Porsche.
I know, it's just like classic car math.
It works perfectly, right?
And nobody's surprised. Really, only 7?
Yeah, that was it. Gosh, have you got a discount or something? A multi-user discount or something along the line?
What I have is there's the SCM Club. We have what are those, like a toll booth sticker on all our cars?
Right.
We drive by a shop, they just bill me $500.
It's just like swiping your card as you're going.
Exactly. It's the monthly maintenance dues.
Yeah, and of course, in talking about maintenance, and the new Porsche 996 that you have is the old bear of the IMS bearing. Have you heard any?
I'm just going to pay to have it done.
Just going to do it whenever it's done. Are you going to do it before it fails you?
No, I think I'll wait till after. I love about everything you read about IMS. The number one thing you read that says it's going to go without warning. Fix it.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, hey, by the way.
No, I like the guys who say, no, I cut my oil filter open every 3 days and look to see if there and if there are any metal filings in there, that means that you're already toast.
You're already toasted. So what's the bill going to be for a new IMS bearing? Do we know?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. So. It's just money. You can't take it with you.
Well, I factored that into the offer I made for the car when I bought it.
There you go. I think a lot of people do that.
I paid $32 for it, I think, and if it had the IMS bearing done, it was probably a $35,000 car.
Right, 35, 36.
And it was in Seattle, so that's no tow bill. I sent my son up on the train to pick it up. It was a beautiful car with, and best of all, it has that bad boy idle exhaust switch.
Yeah.
And you sound like the kind of ass you didn't want to live next to?
I realized the other day that my GMC pickup truck has a sport setting that makes the exhaust louder, and and it won't fit in my garage, the car. So when I started, I think my neighbors are all like, "Son of a bitch!" There he goes, starting that damn thing again.
You have to give it to credit to Porsche for even offering something like that.
I love them for that. It's like a cutout switch on a Duesenberg, right?
Well, I guess so.
It's exactly like that, right? All right, so I guess we've solved all the weekly world problems, and we'll be looking forward to your blog next week, and we'll continue this conversation on the Classic Auto Mall Show. We'll see you then. Thanks, Keith.
All right, great to be here.
Take care. We'll see you next week on the Classic Auto Mall Show.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
we've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
Activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market. The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stuart Howden. Executive producer, Steve Sethier. Produced and engineered by yours truly, J.R. Russ. Video editor, Randy Lammy.
Available on classicautomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Music courtesy of the Pat Travers Band. For tour dates, contact, and stuff, visit pattravers.com. Produced by Car Smarts Media. Copyright all rights reserved.